I've watched over 10,000 hours of rowing footage, both as an athlete and my journey getting into the GB rowing team, and now as a coach, coaching people online through video feedback. These are the 5 things that I've noticed that the best rowers do, the most consistent thing across all of the best rowers. Obviously, there's different techniques, but 5 themes that I'm going to be breaking down in today's video. And I'm also going to be breaking them down in a way that you'll be able to understand them. You'll be able to implement them into your stroke, regardless if you're amateur or a beginner, or you're just taking your first few strokes, or you've been rowing your whole life. For those that are new here, my name's Jack Burns. I'm the founder and head coach of Edge Rowing. We work with busy professionals, getting them rowing to the best versions of themselves. We are pretty limited in terms of how many people we can help, so we spend a lot of time making content like this so that we can help as many people as possible. If you like free advice on technique, training, mindset, then make sure you subscribe to this video, because I love this stuff and it's super fun getting to work with people one-to-one. It's super fun getting to make these videos. But anyways, I'll stop rambling and get into it. The first thing that I think all of the best rowers do in general is row with really, really good connection. And in my opinion, the best rowers that did this were the tall and quick single scullers. So there are a few in particular. Kim Brennan was one. Rob Waddell was another, and then Mahe Drydesdale. I literally just thought of Mahe Drydesdale there, but I don't have any footage to hand, and I can't be arsed going into YouTube and downloading it illegally again. So here we are. But again, really good breakdown here on the row perfect of what Kim does well. So I think I see at levels where there's maybe a tallest person in the crew. One, they learn to row shorter so that they can fit in with everybody else, but 2, they also don't have to row long, and therefore they're not forced to learn how to do it. But when you get tall rowers with long limbs that row with their full length, they fly like Kim here. She does this, I think, probably the best that I've seen. Mahe Drydesdale used to do this really well. In fact, I'm going to go and download the Mahe Drydesdale video because I think it's a good example. So I'm going to pause it, hold on. And I'm back with Mahe, so we'll run through that in a second. But what I mean by length and connection is the whole time that Kim is pressing and driving, she's connected to the flywheel. And what does connection mean? Effectively, if we can put this as simply as possible, when she is driving, it means that she is connected through the handle all the way through her skeleton, through the legs, through the hips, and into the foot plate. And a lot of the time when someone is super compressed in this position here, they're not able to get a full muscle connection when they're super compressed. And again, this is harder when you're taller because it's harder to get that contraction with longer limbs. And they maybe, they're not connected, they're not quite loading in their hips or in their lats or in their shoulders or whatever. And it's maybe not until they get out of this compressed position, until they're maybe here when they're halfway through the drive and they've lost maybe this length of connection here. And then they're able to engage their full skeleton and push as they drive. And then the second thing is, through that second point here, a lot of the time when people finish their leg drive, and their legs are straight, they stop pushing through their feet. They let their weight drop back down into the handle, and they just kind of go like meh, let the handles like come through like that, like as if there's no force behind it. And again, what Kim's doing really well here, extended all the way and still hanging and pushing through the feet. So the 2 things that you can think about in order to change this is how you prepare going forward. So on the way forward, you want to make sure that you get your body rocked forward as much as possible. And you have your shoulders forward and you're able to get your weight down low. So that's the first thing, is getting your weight down low into the foot plate. The second thing is that when you come forward, you want to make sure basically that you're tensing and engaging your glutes, because your glutes are the biggest part that you're going to miss when you drive and connect here. A lot of the time people are able to engage their quads easily or their lats, but the glute is the most stretched muscle in this position, and it makes it really tricky to use it. So that's the kind of first part. The second part is you just want to make sure that you're using your glutes as you drive back, and then when you come through to this position here, you want to make sure that you're hanging and still pushing through the foot plate. Like imagine there's somebody opposite Kim here, and they're having a tug of war match, and they're holding onto the handle, but both of their legs are straight, so they can't force. They would still be pushing. You know, if it was me versus Kim, I would be pushing with my feet into there. Kim would be pushing to her feet into there. How is that for some? Oh, you can't really see because my camera's in the way. Oh well, you get what I mean. So, and again, Mahe, and then what she does again, even more so than this, is she uses all the legs, and then as she comes through that halfway point, she opens her back, and then separate. And it's not until her back is nearly extended all the way that she brings in the arms. So really, really nice technique here from Kim. She does this with better posture than Mahe, but again, Mahe is another example of a tall rower that does this well. And again, if you're a short rower, this is what you really want to focus on. When I still am relatively a short rower, around 6 foot, 6'1", short legs. This is something I really had to nail and make sure. But I was screwed when I came across people like Mahe some of the time, because he uses all the legs, then the back, then the bodies. So, what is the next point? The next point is the catch. So I've done videos on this before, especially the Sinkovich brothers. I've watched so much footage from the Sinkovich brothers and how they approach the catch and how they row. I love the way that they take the catch. Essentially, they place the blade on the way going forward. So as they're sliding forward, they square the blade, and then it's almost like they push the blade in. And the reason that we want to do that is because at the catch, we want a straight up and down lift. But when water is running underneath the blade, we get backsplash on the blade. And it's one of those cases where you can force the outcome, and you actually get what the process is. If that made sense, you can artificially create the right movement by just looking for the outcome, which in this case is backsplash. So they do this well. They time this really well. They wait until there's load on the spoon before they push, and then they go. And the real trick here is because people talk about a quick catch all the time, and what that means is that they take the blade and they drive away quicker before there's actually any load on the front of the spoon here. So next one, stillness. I think the best person that does this is, I couldn't actually get any YouTube videos of Imogen at a low rate. I think she has some shorter ones on her Instagram. But in my opinion, I think she's one of the best that does this. But generally it's rocked over. A lot of the lightweight rowers, especially the lightweight women, they're really good at rocking over. And then once they're set here, they stay still. And bearing in mind, this is Imogen probably just coming up to halfway, right when she set the world record. So really hard part of the race, and is still able to keep that stillness there. If we just watch here, they're rocked, and nothing up here changes as they go in. Really, really still. And again, I would say, like, again, all rowers do this. The Sinkovich brothers do this really well. Let's see if we can get a good shot. Here, so still, so nice going in on the front. If we just look at that upper body, once they're set, they're sorted. They don't do any extra movement. If you want to think about it, one thing I used to do, I would put a mirror beside my erg, and then I would sit in this position, and then I would slide, and as I would slide in, I'd have it positioned so I could see myself at the catch, and I'd make sure that there wasn't any subtle shoulder movements or dipping or any extra motion, or my head leading with my head or letting my head dip, just staying super still going in and then super still going out. And the erg is a really, really good time that you can work on this stillness. So building on the drive. Now I would say most the people in these videos do this really well. One good example. I think Kim does this really nicely. Like, she has a very long and patient drive. Rob Waddell does this really well. I'm going to do a YouTube video on him as well. If you don't know him, if you're not a rowing nerd, I believe he won gold in 2000. Really nice technique and really strong on the erg. I think he did like, he had the old 2K world record at like 5:36. But if we look at Kim, the boat position here, if we were looking from above, the oar would come out like this. And again, from the other side as well. When she pushes with the legs, some of the force would go that way. That's right. But most of the force is going to go that way. So what that means is you do not want to be applying all of your force when you're compressed at this position. And I think what a lot of the best rowers do, especially in the smaller boats, this is less so in the bigger boats, is get this idea of build there. And when she's here, you can see she really accelerates and hangs on it nicely. Another important thing to consider is that force equals mass times acceleration. So if you've created all of your acceleration in the first part of the stroke, you're not going to be able to accelerate once you get to the back end, and you're not going to be able to produce more force. So you want to leave room to accelerate with. And if you go bang right from the start, you're going to miss that opportunity. The fifth point, again, I could probably just use Kim Brennan for every single one of these videos. But the fifth point here is the blade extraction. So is how you take your blades out. Clean and square. Really, really good example here. Like, friggin' perfect extraction. Okay, yeah, you can see maybe that left blade comes out a bit more, but again, Rio, these conditions are horrible, and there's always going to be a bit of an imbalance. But look at that left blade pops all the way out here. Let's maybe go to the next stroke. Yeah, a bit more level, that's fine. Pops out square, and she's drawing back there, and then once the blade's pretty much 99% of the way out of the water, she then feathers it. And I think another good example of this being done was the GB Men's 8, who won in Paris. Really simple stroke, really clean extraction with the blade, drawing down all the way, and then, I'd say stroke seat maybe leaves it buried a little bit longer, but the rest of the crew here, you can see, over here, a really nice square blade extraction. When I look at crews, this is probably one of the first things that I do, is say, how clean are they being with their blades? I think it's one of the easiest ways to get free speed, and one of the most rewarding changes when you get it right. And it's very coachable, it's very trainable. It sets up balance, it sets up speed. It really helps with a higher stroke rate. Again, if people struggle to hit higher rates, a lot of the time it's because your blade work isn't clean and tidy enough. So anyways, let me know if you want me to go into any of these other topics in more detail. If you want me to break down one of the crews or one of the topics, then I'll maybe do it. Who knows? If you got this far in the video, if you're one of the fans, you've been waiting for this, comment wristband. Oh shit. Comment wristband, and I wonder if there's anybody that reads. Oh shit. I wonder if there's anybody that watches these videos and just reads what's commenting, what are the random comments, and seeing if they're doing it, because that's some bullshit. Comment wristband with an exclamation mark. Let's try and think of some subtle ways to weed out the people that aren't really watching and just reading the comments. Anyways, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and all the best. Hope this was useful. Bye.